Yo, Sanjay Uche here, people, giving you my review on Samurai Jack Season 5, Episode 4. Just to notice, of course, why this review didn't come out last week was because there was no Samurai Jack episode last week. Apparently, there was some April Fools mix up with Toonami, something ridiculous. But yeah, let's just get into it. I must say, as the thumbnail says there, this was probably the most ridiculous episode to date. Not in terms of quality. Well, let me just specify. In terms, it was the most. It's the funniest episode to date. For season 5, really and truly. One thing I like about this episode and the whole season to date so far is that they managed to retain the humor despite the darker tone that's been set for the season thus far, and that really helps to to drive the episode, honestly. um so we continue of last 2 weeks where we saw Jack fight against the daughters of a coup, with just Aishi surviving, or Ashi, sorry, pronunciation, but yeah, so we get to see Jack, who's, I mean, they've crashed the lower section of the mountain, and he gets up, thinking he's been attacked by a coup. Of course, he swings. Of course, eventually calms down, and he goes over to Ashi, where we see she's still trying to kill him, and eventually what we see in this episode is them being swallowed by this ginormous monster, whatever, I don't know what to call it, but the episode really revolves around them trying to escape the innards of this gigantic monster, essentially. And really, the interaction between them in this episode is what really drives it for me, and puts it up to like at least a 9 point. I don't know, I think I give it a 9.5. Honestly speaking, it's that good. Like, I mean, I don't think I could give any episode to date of Samurai Jack season 5 less than 9. It's just been that good. um it's interesting, the character dynamic between Jack and Ashi. It's ridiculous. Like, it's the fact like, it's just so funny, honestly. Like, if you watch the episode, it's ridiculously funny, honestly. Like, I was on the ground just dying literally. And of course, we got about the recurring theme of Jack's, psychological state, which always helps to drive the episode. But what I liked about this episode, it wasn't as in, we saw it present in this episode, but it wasn't like really drawn out. um well, probably I shouldn't say drawn out, but it just wasn't as long as like in previous episodes. We got like a little snippet there of what he might be thinking of in, I guess, one one part of his head, I don't know, about just probably abandoning Ashi. So that was good to see. Of course, the action and choreography in this episode, as usual, was pretty good. We also got some character development for Ashi, which I loved, towards the end, because throughout the episode, Jack was telling that, Aku is really the evil one, which is to be expected. We expected that to happen. And by the end, towards the end, we got a flashback and some character development for her, and interesting growth between Jack and her. Um, is being foreshadowed for the next few episodes. Of course, it is still part of my prediction that, if you watch my earlier reviews, I did predict that one of the daughters would survive, and we get some interesting character developments between Jack and this daughter. So apparently Ashi is this daughter, which was pretty obvious from the start because she was the only one that's got any sort of development. And I must say, for what it's worth, I really love it. Um, as I mentioned before, yeah, art animation was pretty spot on as usual. The quality of these are, they don't really decline. They have had pretty much a lot of time to work on this. I must say though, Jack's character, his characterization in this episode was, it was pretty. It really added to the humor in this episode, really and truly. Like, the big selling point for this episode, as I've mentioned, is really the interaction between Ashi and Jack, and the comedy that interaction produces. Jack's character has Like even this one scene where, like we had some red spikes raining down on them, and then they eventually took shelter at one spot within the beast, and then Jack's like slowly picking off them one by one, off like one off him, one off Ashi, one off him, one off Ashi, and Jack was like, you know, people would pay good money for this. Like it was ridiculous, honestly. Um, but we can see from this episode just how ingrained the teachings of the High Priestess and well, Aku doesn't give a shit. I don't think he's ever interacted with his daughters, but how the training of the High Priestess has really been ingrained in the daughters of Aku, really and truly. They're just hell bent on killing Jack, and they really you can see from this episode that even though the other daughters are dead, we can safely assume that all the daughters are of the same mindset for obvious reasons, and that they're really naive when it comes to thinking outside the box of what they've been taught, which is I can't blame them for that, really and truly. So for what it's worth, I think seeing this last remaining daughter Ashi get some development is pretty good. Um, but yeah, that's generally what happened. By the end of the episode, we get to see them escape the beast, and they make their way to an uninhibited island. Apparently, the beast has been moving around, which is only to be expected. So it was really at this point that we got that flashback and character development for Ashi. So we see her, you know, kind of settling down. We get a flashback of really because she sees a ladybug and she finds it interesting, and she remembers during her training when she saw a ladybug as well, and her mother told her that the high priestess told her that these things are frivolous and don't really help in the mission from Aku. So seeing Jack do the opposite of what her mom told her, it really helps to, because she was gonna try and kill Jack again, and she just kind of just puts that idea away for that moment there, and that's really where the episode ends. For what it's worth, this episode was pretty damn good, as usual. If you haven't watched it, I implore you that you check it out, really and truly. This is it for the review. If you haven't checked out my previous reviews, you should check them out. Check out my Dragon Ball Super review from last night. Then again, I'll just link them at the end of this video as usual, as well, I've started doing Boruto reviews and videos. So I'll just link all of these here at the end screen so you can check them out. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Rate, like, share this video out. Let me know what you think. Let's talk about it. And I'll see you in the next one, people.